You're on the agenda.
I'm on the agenda.
You're on the
You're
agenda.
on the agenda, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, let's make it an acknowledgement for Post 57 for that outstanding breakfast. And I just found out they're actually going to serve us some lunch when we're done.
Yeah.
I heard pulled pork. Pulled pork?
Yeah, pulled pork sandwiches.
Yeah, he doesn't know pulled pork.
Just a store.
Yeah, it's going to be sandwiches. So, just so you know, you never leave Post 57 hungry if you do it on your own accord. All right, so here we go. Yeah, everyone ready to begin? Take your places. The color of our nation's in place. Hand salute. 2. Please remain standing with your caps removed, placed over your hearts, through the opening prayer to the POW MIA ceremony and concluding with the Pledge of Allegiance. Chaplain.
God, the commander of all, we ask that you bless this training. May the experiences of today inspire us as a group to meet the challenges of all things that come before us. God, we pray for your support to be the steadfast in the principles that make this organization the best of the best. May your hand of love and light be upon us, all of us today, during this meeting and training today. Amen.
Amen.
A POW MIA empty chair is placed at all official meetings of the American Legion as a physical symbol of the thousands of American POW MIA still unaccounted for from all wars and conflicts involving the United States of America. This is a reminder for all of us to spare no effort to secure the release of any American prisoners from captivity, the reparation of the remains of those who died bravely in defense of liberty, and a full accounting of those missing. Let us rededicate ourselves to this final endeavor. POW MI flag is now placed on the empty chair. Sergeant Arms, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recover. We shall now recite the preamble to the American Legion. For God and country, we
Associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate the 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and institutions of our civilization in all wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligations and communities to state and nation, to combat the autocracy of the classes and the masses, to make right the master of life, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to teacher and helpers.
You may be seated. Well, on behalf of Post 57, Commander Rick Rivera, Department Commander Ms. Eunice Butts, I would like to welcome you now to the Northern Area West training. And I got to say, this is an outstanding showing. To give ourselves a round of hand, I want to do something really special here. First, if you are from the 3rd District, please stand. Nice. You may be seated. Those from the 4th District, please stand. All right, thank you. Those from the 5th District, please stand. And the other Jim Bowers representing the 17th District, and the other 17th District, please stand. All right, thank you. Are there any other districts represented today that is here for area training?
12's in the house.
Yeah, I love it.
He's still figuring out if this is Georgia or not.
What? I don't.
They need more principals.
Speak, John. Oh, you need more handouts for the.
You need more?
Okay.
Travis?
Hey, Travis, front center, buddy.
He ran off.
All right. That's a good showing. I can tell you that last week, when we were in the other area training of the northern area, you guys have outsurpassed the attendance so far. Hopefully what you'll take away from today will help you utilize your knowledge that you gained to help better run your post. It's through our training efforts and our training programs that helps us unify ourselves. Just as we did with the preamble, we're able to come together with a common mission, a common theme. If you hear the message today, this is the message should be happening at your post. I know, at my post we do things differently. However, if you love having that moniker of the American Legion on the outside of your post, you love advertising that you're part of the American Legion, do understand there's certain obligations you have to do. Today we're going to cover that material. That way you understand how to be a proper American Legion, how to remain legal within the ramifications of the IRS, your nonprofit, things of that nature. That's today's goal. You'll hear it many times and many times over today. If you want specialized training, let's say a more specific, fine-tuned training that pertains to the adjutant, the finance officer, what does the chaplain do? We can come to your post and provide that training.
Yep.
Better yet, come to a district meeting.
Ooh.
Oh, novel idea. Come to a district meeting and get that training there. One repository of knowledge when you come to those district meetings. We love to give the training at those, so come to those in the future. If not, and you need specialized training at your post, we will come to you. We are here to support you. The color of the cap is run by the solid blue. You guys tell us what to do. We tell the white caps what to do.
Yep.
And we, as a department, tell the red caps what to do. Right, Jim?
Yes.
I can't wait until there. Just know that that's the goal of today. You gotta have the outline. We have a rough agenda. We'll bob and weave through it, depending on who feels so led to speak at the moment. So at this time, and with further ado, I now invite, if I could have the department commander, Ms. Eunice Buzz, please come forward. I can put it on her head, she'll look like Madonna. Yeah. You may be seated and remove your headgear.
Now I can eat some more bacon.
Good morning. It is always awesome whenever a leader can come in front of a group and see it's full. That is a phenomenal feeling. Thank you so much. Thank you, number one, for electing me as your state commander. I don't have to say too much because all of you within the state of Florida have been awesome. You don't leave anything for me to say. You just treat me like a mother and carry me like a baby. And I that means Stu just gave my spiel, all of it, but he's heard it before. And to keep from holding you up all day, where you can go home and do some other things, I will not repeat what he said, but that is the truth. And you left off, Stu. We, as the White Caps, should try to service you and cater to trying to do at least some of the things that you would like to see the White Caps do to accommodate you who run the American Legion.
Amen.
I can't say anything else. Stu said it all, so I can't even read it. How about that? So we're going to move on with the training. We're going to be laxed. We want you to ask questions whenever you need to ask questions. And please, this is the place to ask the question, not ask Ramos, myself, or Stu, or Dina after the fact because you didn't understand and hear. We are one package deal. There's no one less than anyone. There's no one more than anyone. So at this time, I will have, who's first on the agenda?
Chris.
Rich.
Okay. At this time, Chris Hampton, will you please come forward for your presentation?
You know, one second, get this, 10 minutes contraction set up here.
Did everybody get a copy of the principles?
If not, there's some up here. I can get somebody to come hand them out. Big turnout. Technology, so that tells me. Hey, you guys in the back, can you hear me?
Put it on like Madonna.
Y'all can hear me? All right, because this standing here is going to kill me. All right. If you can hear me, if you can't hear me, I will repeat myself. We're going to flip-flop this week. We did the duties of officers first last week, but I would refer to the principles of leadership throughout that. This week, because it flows better, we're going to do the principles of leadership first and flow into the duties of officers, which will refer back to the principles. So we've got some reciprocation going on there.
Hey, Chris, you really can't hear in the back.
You can't hear it all?
I can't hear.
Oh, okay.
Put the mic on.
Mic's on, just,
Put it on. Like a headset. Put it on your head. Put it on your head like a headset. There you go.
Oh, it looks good. Looking good. Yes.
We're up to number
Bert, this
8.
is on camera, right?
How's that?
Thank you.
We're up to number 8, which is good.
Oh, bless myself.
Check your finger.
There we go. This is all highlighted. Okay, leadership principles are the set of actions or guiding beliefs that leaders can implement to move forward toward success. And how you do it, your company, your organization, whatever, do that is directly related to how effectively the leader motivates. Now, not everybody has natural God-given ability to lead. Some people have that gift, you know. Some people don't. Some people need some guiding principles. Now, there's several things out there online for principles of leadership through the military, through civilian stuff. But when you really look at it, if you change some of the military terminology, it all pretty much says the same thing. It breaks down to about 11. I chose this one because it tends to fit us so much better. Okay, there's a lot of leadership styles that, Some people are assertive leaders, some people are passive leaders. But what works for one person may not work for the next person. One person may be assertive, be able to get their point across, another person uses a different way to get their point across. But there's certain things about leadership, and the difference between a leader, I'll tell you, I quoted it all last year. There's a difference between a leader and a manager. A manager will sit there and bark orders, tell you what to do. A leader will show you how to do a good job or learn together with you to try to get the mission accomplished, whatever that mission might be. Now, that's in my own words. Leadership principles are the framework of actions that you can take as a leader to inspire others to work together to accomplish a goal. So your principles are a foundation to success. There's a lot of theories. I'm glad I brought these calls up. A lot of theories and factors that make the best leaders. Okay, these are the 11 principles of leadership, all in a nutshell, and then we're going to have a slide to kind of explain each one of these 11. But the first one, anybody, well, we've all been in the military. You lead from the front. You lead by example. How we carry ourselves. How we're out there in public. How we're representing this brand, representing ourselves, period. Goes a long way to those who are going to follow us, want to join us, want to know what we have going on. So it starts with us. Are there any new commanders out here? Post commander or anything? Raise your hand if we have any. A lot of this will be geared toward a lot of the younger commanders, even if you have had leadership experience in the past. You know, we're trying to get everybody on the same sheet of music because that's what builds our continuity. You know, the same information from the same people, from the same source. Right? Teaching it all across to where everybody's on the same page, and that's how we get to where it'll be later on. Training your replacement, mentoring the next person. You lead by example. Leadership's about people. Always focus on change. How many times have we heard, well, we've always done it this way, and that way never worked. Always tried that idea, but it didn't work. Well, how did you try that idea through this angle? This person comes up with an idea. You might want to have a different approach to the same idea. Oh, we tried that, it didn't work. How many of you heard that?
Or this century.
Yeah, right. Be human and make mistakes. That's where a lot of us, all of us have done it at some point. You got to be human, admit your mistakes, be able to say when you're wrong. Use that to move forward. That'll be on the slide coming up. Use your mistakes. Have some humility. You know, if you made a mistake, okay, let's drive on because that's what life is anyway. Understand the value of listening. Sometimes, you know, you've heard the old saying, knowledge is power. Sometimes you can sit back and listen to a group of people talk, and you can get so much more information about what's going on than if you get in there and try to speak yourself. A lot of times, your ears are your best tool. Anybody that's been in combat arms knows that. A lot of times, your ears are your best tool. You know, that's promote diversity. We can all agree to disagree. That's what America's about. That's what you know, debate and everything else is. It's okay to disagree. Let's agree to disagree. But the diversity goes further than that. Different ideas, different generations working together, try to make it gel as one. Work together to achieve more. That goes back into one of the principles right there. Work together to achieve more. You know, working together to show them how to do a good job, but work together. Nobody's in charge of nothing. And there's so many times, this is my post, and we run this how we want it. This is my post. I'm the commander. It don't work that way. You know, your membership's where the rubber meets the road. Have solid values. Got to have solid core values for yourself. A lot of us have been NCOs, officers. There's core values that you're actually trained. You know, those things carry with you for the rest of your life. Have solid values. We'll bring up Henry Ford here in a second. Use technology and innovation. People that want to stay away from that computer when you know the times are changing. You know, I remember when the telephone used to be hooked to a wall. What will we do now if we had to go back to the wall for our telephone? Right? Remember when there used to be newspapers, but we don't use newspapers hardly anymore. You got to embrace technology. Technology is just part of things that's coming. Henry Ford, having said his name, once said, if I would have asked the people what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses. Think about that. This man's a pioneer in mass production, the automobile, all that. But if you'd have went out and asked Joe Blow, Johnny Redneck out there in the farm fields and stuff, you know, what would you like me to invent for you? He probably would have told you a faster horse or a stronger plow horse. No. Embrace the technology. Help and develop future leaders, which is what we're trying to do here. We started this last year. We've done this with our train-the-trainer, with our Legion College. Help develop future leaders, because that goes back to the continuity I was speaking about. Any questions so far? Okay, lead by example. As it says here, many successful leaders demonstrate how to behave and perform tasks and do their work. But a good leader models excellent behavior and must be able to motivate and encourage people. Most successful companies and organizations have leaders who help their staff understand the value of their vision and show them how everyone can work together to achieve the goal in their role. Pretty much reiterates what I was just saying on several of the other principles, how they flow into one another. It's challenging for people to have faith in an idea or point of view if their leader is not also committed to the vision and empowering their employers and followers to take appropriate action. But when you lead by example, your followers, I love how this is written, your followers should see that you are confident and dedicated, and then they're going to want to align themselves with you. I was just saying that before the slide even came up. How we present ourselves and how we present our ideals and goals has a lot to do with people wanting to get on board with us. And that's, sometimes that's a gift, sometimes that's an acquired trait. Leadership's about people. Well, without people, you can lead yourself. But you got to communicate and engage with your team. The leadership is interpersonal communications. I don't know how many times people have heard me say, build relationships. You've got to build relationships. Interpersonal communication skills are essential to any leader, but without being able to communicate your vision to others, the leadership's going to be challenging. Again, when you get your dictators in some of these posts, and we all know we've seen posts like that all over the place. You're not building, all you're doing, you're not the leader, you're the manager. As a leader, you should have the best possible relationship with every member of your team. Again, we go back to building relationships. This means not only relating to those people in your top level management, but you've got to be able to work with the people at the lowest levels, which is, and we're all equal, but that's your members. Everything flows right back. I'll stop right here for a second. You take the American Legion, overall American Legion nationally, worldwide, whatever, 55 departments. You take that. Imagine a wagon with 4 wheels. Okay? The American Legion is that wagon, the body. Okay? Each of those 4 wheels has spokes. Those spokes are programs. The 4 wheels are our 4 pillars. Okay? And the axles that hold those spokes together to support that wagon is our membership. Can't have volunteers. Your volunteers are your members. I've always thought that was a perfect analogy, but yeah, you can use that. But if you look at it like that, we're all integral to one another. You break a spoke, you got a weak wheel. You break a wheel, you got a broken down wagon. You break an axle, nothing works. The axle's a membership. So you guys are where the rubber meets the road. I just want to say that. Work together to constantly improve relationships and your interpersonal skills and how they influence the people who surround them. I'd be honored if you guys would use this in your district training, because these principles of leadership, they're really near and dear to my heart. They actually open my eyes a lot. And I've been through a lot of leadership schools in the Army. Focus on change. Transformation should be at the foundation of every leadership plan. The people need to understand what your goals and objectives are and the part that they can play in the transforming of the organization. And once they know the direction of changes that need to happen, they may be more willing to work toward it. Now, I just spoke about a lot of stuff in that one big sentence right there. That addresses communication, that addresses your relationships, addresses a lot of stuff. When you encourage others to change and grow, you'll do the same as a leader. You'll change and grow also. And change for the better should be your focus, not just making changes for financial gain. Or you need to focus on the overall vision and the ambition to bring about change. Big one right here, because we're all human. Has to do with humility. Be human and admit mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but it can be beneficial for other people to see a leader acknowledge their mistakes. That's important because it can help them be more relatable. A lot of people will follow you better if you made a mistake. Be man or woman enough to admit that, hey, sorry I made a mistake, this was my objective, it didn't work out that way, whatever. But be human and admit your mistakes. Mistakes can show you where you went wrong and how you can improve in the future. A wise leader learns from each experience and uses it to teach their employees, which in our sense will be our members, and themselves what areas they need to focus on to grow as an organization. Again, we go back to what? Building relationships. So a lot of this stuff reiterates itself as you go along. It just builds upon itself. And people can lose faith in others when they're unwilling to accept responsibility. Another big one. But when a leader owns a mistake, they're often held in a lot higher regard. Somebody can come up in front of their body and say, you know, I am so sorry, I made a mistake. A lot of the people that dislike that person or did whatever will look at it in a whole different light. And that could be the very beginning of a positive change. Understand the value of listening. And sometimes I'm real bad about this. Learn to listen more than you talk. But, again, like I was saying before, when you listen, you can be finding out valuable new information that may help you lead effectively. Leaders are great listeners, but don't mean that they must agree with everything. See, that's the diversity we're talking about. That don't mean they got to agree with everything they hear. But they can at least try to make sense of it to understand what they hear. And there's two levels of human understanding. There's intellectual and emotional. When you understand what someone's saying, that's the intellectual level. The emotional level is when you know how they're feeling when they're saying what they say. Think about that. You hear somebody say something, you know the person fairly well. You really know where they're coming from. You've heard that saying, yeah, I know where you're coming from. Not just, I heard what you said, but I know where you're coming from. That's what that means. A good leader should try to understand both. People feel valued and respected when a leader takes the time to listen and process what they're saying. When you're talking to somebody, they're at least taking the time to hear what you got to say. It makes you feel a lot better. Develop your leadership skills, which is basically reiterate the first 5 steps. Leaders defined by the behavior and actions. A good leader has specific skills and characteristics to help them lead effectively. To be a great leader, you recognize the skills you need and work to develop them. Identify your strengths and your weaknesses and what your leadership strategy will be. That takes knowing your people and building relationships. That way you know what you're working with. You gotta know what you're working with. It's like land navigation. You gotta know where you're at before you know where you're going. You got to understand your own behaviors and attitudes and how they're going to affect your ability to lead. If you're more of an assertive leader, you may turn people off. If you're more of a compassionate leader, you may get more people behind you. You constantly work your skills and always strive to improve them because that is going to determine how successful your personal leadership style will be. Promote diversity. We talked about that before. We can all agree to disagree. You know, diversity, the hardest strengths it can confer. When everyone has the same background experience, then you're pretty much locked into the same box. You hear people say, think outside the box, right? It means there's going to be a limited field of expertise, so you're going to be pretty stale. You're not going to move that far forward because you're pretty much at your limit so far as knowledge goes. But when there's a diverse range, you may be able to approach things differently and find some fresh perspectives. You have a diverse workforce, it encourages innovation and new ideas. Maybe we'll go back to what I was saying. You know, oh, we tried that before, it didn't work. Well, have you you tried it from this angle, from this approach. It may work through this approach where it didn't work from that approach. A lot of that has to do with the people that was working the idea, or the attitude going into doing the idea. A lot of schools have thought on how to identify diversity as a key to business accomplishments like profit growth, but a leader needs to recognize the importance of diversity and aim to build teams, committees. You got a good idea, you may, man. You just got yourself chair for that committee, you know. I believe in committees, committee. But when you got ideas, let that person run with it. And that'll get covered up later on down the road. Work together. Collaboration. Collaboration is active, working with others to share information, strategies, successes. When you go to fall conference, when you go to a convention, when you're mingling, when you're at each other's posts, you're throwing ideas back and forth together. Hey, well, man, you guys are doing this at your post. We never tried that. We'd like to try that. You find a good idea, especially as a district or area commander. You're out there, you're finding stuff you've never seen done in your own district. But wow, they're doing it over here. It works really well. Let's take that idea. Collaboration, sharing your ideas, work with those to share information, strategies, and successes. And every great leader understands that importance. You know, cooperation, collaboration can happen between organizations without affecting healthy competition. And leaders should embrace those benefits working collaboratively can bring. We all do that. Use technology and innovation. I've explained that pretty much before. But technology use in the workplace is widespread. As leaders should take advantage of that, benefits of that technology. Again, it's coming. You'll be hearing about your green sheet. That's the last one that's ever going to be printed. It's my legion, much as we love it or hate it, that's going to be the norm of the future. We need to learn to embrace it. You know, well, then if you can't beat them, join them, right? Technology can help the operation of business or increase productivity or help move it into new markets and facilitate achieving the company vision. Now, that sounds like a bunch of corporate stuff. Put the right words in there. We're talking membership, we're talking growth, we're talking our programs. You know, sometimes it is financial. And your teams can now work together even if they're based in different countries. We started doing Zoom 2 years ago. We started doing it, you know, instead of having in-person meetings. The COVID thing kind of helped us, forced us, but helped us embrace technology. As a leader, it's stronger you understand and educate yourself on the new technologies. You want to hear more about that, so I'm not going to elaborate. Help develop future leaders. That goes without saying. That's exactly what we're doing. Commander Brent was doing that last year with mentor pins. We're continuing that now. That pretty much is the nuts and basis and the nuts and bolts of that. Training replacement. You know, when you've been in the same office for 10, 20 years, whatever, and you've never had anybody that could step in, you've never trained anybody to step up, well, you're not really training replacement, but that puts us at a standstill. Change is where we're going to move forward. It's a training replacement. Have somebody key on somebody, start training somebody, whether you be a post commander, vice commander, whatever, start looking at somebody that can be coming up and fill your shoes to carry the mission forward. That's it for our leadership principles. Going to our duties of officers. Are there any questions on that? It's all in the handout and it's on PowerPoint, so our Vice Commander Jessica can get it out to you if you've signed it with your email address on your thing. If everything that we're doing here today will be shared with you through email. Post administration chain of command with the responsibility given to the individual post is a source for strength and growth. Our posts are autonomous to a large degree. There's certain things you got to be doing. to pay federal, state, local taxes, have the proper insurance. There are things, you are carrying the American Legion brand. You're more like a franchise of the American Legion than anything else. You're carrying our brand, so there are certain things you are required to do. Okay, your officers and executive committee are subject to whatever the constitutional bylaws and the guidelines of post is outlined in the bylaws, and in most cases, your operations are addressed at the post level. We always say, let's keep our dirty laundry in our own backyard. If we have issues, let's try to settle them in-house, you know. And if the issue involves the upper echelon, reach out to your district commander. Being a commander, obviously, it's been one of several scenarios, but the main scenario is somebody's had enough confidence in you, and you presented yourself and showed your leadership enough that you've been elected to the position of post commander. Now you got to draw on your ability and experience while developing new skills. Goes back, this is all going to be referring right back to the principles of leadership we just did. The charge you accepted is broad and difficult. We know that because your charge was read to you. Success or failure is on your shoulders. There's no rank among us. Titles aren't the titles that we have in the military. You're still a liaison on the post. You guide the ship. Is your post insured? Read that. Okay, this came from a national resolution of the National Executive Committee. Resolution 35. Additional insurance requirements for every post, not some posts, and no, we're not going to do that type post. Every post of the American Legion. That was done through national resolution, which is what makes the wheels turn. Your liability insurance, the additional insured would have their name. Now, this isn't a rider. I did make a misquote last week. It's not an insurance rider. What you're doing is you're adding the American Legion and the American Legion Department of Florida onto your post insurance policy, or all your insurance policies. That's to protect to protect the department from being sued if somebody gets their head up their fourth point of contact at your post and calls a lawsuit because you carry the American Legion name. So you're protecting the American Legion on that. And there's really not a choice. You need to be doing it. At the end of the agreement, like Resolution 35, between the named insured, which is the post, and the party requesting the additional insured status, which is, once again, the American Legion and American Legion Department of Florida. Every insurance policy held in the post name must specifically reflect in writing the American Legion and the American Legion Department of Florida as additional insured. Are you incorporated? 990 is done. All that. And I know sometimes things lapse. This, that, and the other. Your article of incorporation through SunBiz or whatever your IRS stuff. That does happen. It's not always intentional neglect. Sometimes a lot of things happen before you know it. Commander comes in and realizes that post ain't been incorporated in a year or taxes haven't been paid. I ran into it a lot of times, just honest error. But this is something you gotta always understand. Each post in Florida is required to be incorporated under the laws of the state of Florida and the Department of Constitution, Article 10, Section 19. Now, I'm quoting these things because so many times during my travels, when you bring something up, department or national or whatever, somebody's going to fire off with, well, where's that written? Well, we're documenting the source right here. This is not only to protect the post, but the membership of the post, because the membership is where the rubber meets the road. If the post isn't incorporating lawsuits brought against the post, its officers and its members may be held financially liable. So you're putting your members at risk, along with your officers. That right there, I would want to make sure that I've got my I's dotted, my T's crossed. Because all these members, all your members, can, very well be liable. You get the $1 million lawsuit, you've only got 300 people in your post. Well, that wouldn't work out too well. So, you can get the information on My Florida Doc. I swear to God, it's myflorida.gov. Some of this. Your district commander can assist you in that if you have any questions. Your post officers bonded. Now, this is something that a lot of posts didn't realize either. All post officials handling American Legion monies are required to be properly bonded for twice the amount of the average amount of money that they normally handle. It's required through the national headquarters bylaws. Article 6, Section 1, and there's probably a subparagraph of the way some of these things change year to year. It's still in that article, in that section. I deleted the paragraph because I wasn't sure if that was up to date or not. But it's definitely in Article 6, Section 1, the national headquarters bylaws. And of course, we talked about the 990. Depending on the revenue of your post, how big your post is, some of them can do postcard 990, some of them can't. That's your individual tax return with your 501c19 status and all that. That's got to be done by a certain time each year, regardless of your status. And you can't not turn it in because failure to submit, you'll lose your tax exempt status. And that's one of the major benefits that you enjoy as a post. Do you do a program? We all know this. Okay, you got to do at least one program in order to maintain the charter. That's going to be followed into CPRs and addendums and stuff, by the way. Bylaws. We're still dealing with a little bit of backlog on the bylaws, but not as bad as it was. But the post bylaws ought to be reviewed every 3 years, at least every 3 years. You can review them sooner than that if you want to. You can update them. If you have no changes, you can just send in the letter to the department saying no changes, and then you'll get a new cover letter from the department that they've been reviewed. But you should be doing it at least every 3 years. There's some out there that the last time the bylaws were done was 2008. They're still posted out there. I know one right off the top of my head, I won't say the post number, 2014. And go back and take a look at your bylaws. The needs and some of the things that's in your bylaws tend to change as the face and the demographics of your membership changes or the growth of your posts. There's a lot of dynamics that can change the need of certain things in your bylaws and how they're written. We'll get to that in a second. So far as different officers, you may create positions for officers and things. Your constitution and bylaws have got to reflect that. So as your post grows, different situations in your post, whatever, you should be looking at your bylaws almost constantly to see if there's anything that might need to be amended. Not a bad deal. Now we're going to hit this one twice. But this is very important because I know a lot of posts don't do this. Every post is required to make a report to the membership at least once per month concerning the status of, hear me, all financial activities and facilities of the post. This is where it gets really sticky. The report shall include, but not be limited to, total income, cost of sales, expenses, accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, profit and loss statement, any agreement concerning the use of facilities, hall rentals, any information necessary to provide the membership with sufficient information so far as the activities, because that's all having to do with money in the post, every penny. If this was the last thing that Post 57 owned, and Post 57 had 1,000 members and it had to liquidate for whatever reason, tear this into 1,000 pieces, and each member would get the final piece of this if that was the last thing left. That's how deep your members own your post. They're shareholders in your corporation. Look at it like that. I know that's slide 12. Here we go on the adjutant, and this is going to be built upon by your third vice commander. Your adjutant, Radar O'Reilly. How many people here has ever watched MASH? Okay, grew up watching MASH, right? That guy was everywhere. Knew everything going on, anytime, any place. Knew stuff was happening before it even happened. That's pretty much your adjutant in a nutshell. Holds the same relative position as the first sergeant of the company. Okay, everything revolves around your adjutant. Your adjutant's got relationships with all your officers, all your committees. Does your minutes, does all your standing orders, all your communication back and forth from department, national, to your post. Everything involves the adjutant. He's everywhere. Okay? If your post was that wheel, and your committees were the spokes, that adjutant's the center of right here. Commander navigates the ship, and the adjutant's the engineer who runs the machinery. He's a personnel officer, has intimate contact with every individual postman. Duties include but not limited to maintaining membership records, create your agendas for your minutes. Again, we say minutes. Minutes are mandatory, but they're also a great tool to have good minutes. Jessica's going to build upon that. A lot of things that you do in your post where your membership makes decisions and stuff. As long as you have minutes of that meeting saying the membership did say that, your minutes are very important. You oversee, assist, I already said it, officers and committees, publish your, well, I said all this. It's a good thing to keep an adjutant. If they've been doing a good job, they don't have to be changed every single year. As a matter of fact, it's recommended that folks that have a good adjutant maintains that adjutant, keeps them around for a while. Because that's your continuity person. We keep hearing that word continuity today. Continuity is important. A good adjutant that can stick around throughout all this, well, we're making money today. If we don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Thank you, Joe.
Gotta keep the income.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Pay for that donut.
Money coming in, donuts.
Gamblers, stop calling people. Anyway, no, back to the adjutant. If you have a good adjutant, keep your adjutant if you can. Some of them are like I've been adjutant a long time, I'm not giving up. Well, that's where they should be, getting somebody underneath their wing in their final year to help move that forward. And that, again, that's your continuity. If you have a new adjutant, the first thing they should do is go through all your post records. That's the first opportunity. Constitution, your meeting minutes, everything. We'll give an insight to how the post has been working. All right, and the communication from the department, again, it goes to the adjutant. So that is your, that's your Rachel for the Bruce. You know, I mean, they're the ones that's just right in the middle of everything. We talked about CPR and addendum earlier, okay? You're doing your program, things like that. Your CPR and addendum is, it's kind of like your report card of your post. One of them gets sent to national, one of them gets sent to the department. But by compiling that among all our posts, say we have 10, for example, 10 posts. Each post is put in 10 man hours doing something. Okay, the department will take all that information, compile it all into one, then national will take that information, compile it into more. It gives a combined arms type report when the national commander meets with Congress to show what the American Legion did as part of the membership, the programs they've worked, the legislation that they've worked, everything, your CPR and addendum. Now we have a deadline to get that stuff in. All right, and well, we got extensions this past year, so I don't have the deadline right in front of me. I think it's in May sometime. Your district commander should be out there, if you're getting close to deadline, should be out there at least delegating to the vice commanders or whatever to assist for any post that's lagging behind getting their CPRs and addendum. Now there's officer report, things like that need to be done. A lot of posts will have elections going on, but the two main things is the CPR and addendums needed to get turned in. If you don't, you can't seat delegates at the convention. You can go there and enjoy all you want, but you won't have a vote. You won't have any ballots. You won't have any ribbon to get into any committees. If you go, you'll just be there. You gotta get that stuff turned in. Matter of fact, I don't even believe you get your membership cards, or none of that stuff. So you can't even get it, the new officers can't even get into the next year and start working the next year until this is done. So if we're getting close to deadline, my recommendation to district commanders, and we worked it this way this past year, when I was a zone commander, I got with all the district and area commanders, said, look, we've got some deadlines. Let's get these posts. If we have to sit down with them, let's sit down with them. Let's go meet with them and help them fill it out. And don't walk out and say, yeah, I'm going to put it in the mail tomorrow. Take it with you and put it in the mail yourself. Really. That's just from experience. You know, if you're already going up there to help them do it and they got it done, if you can't follow it online, you carry that out the door with you and drop it in the mail yourself to make sure it's done. And I guarantee you, we'll hit our 100% a lot sooner than we did this year. By the way, we are all 100% Florida with everything turned in at this point. Better late than never, right?
Hey, Chris?
Yes, sir.
To touch base on that, on the CPR, just back to legality. We are congressionally chartered. Part of that charter is that we report this information. That's what maintains our nonprofit status. So by not doing that, you put the entire department at risk. One little post can put the entire department at risk.
Yeah. Thank you. That's true. All right, first vice commander, okay? Majority of the posts, your first and second vice commander are elected with the membership being the primary concern of the first vice commander. Now, my legion gives all the passwords and email passwords to the adjutant, but a lot of posts have a membership team, okay? So this is in the manual. Me personally, I don't think it's cast in stone, but your first vice commander still needs to be ready to step up. In the absence of the commander, that don't mean changing their policies. That don't mean changes, you know, well, I'm the commander now because they're gone for a week. We're going to do everything different. They're going to do it my way. I've actually seen that happen. Right? You're there to continue your continuation of the commander in their actions. Membership, our particular post, the actions of the first vice work together. With the first vice, the main responsibility. He's probably back at the post right now doing a bunch of stuff, but we just tend to have a pretty decent adjutant to help work that too. So, yeah, so pretty much it with first vice commander. And again, I already said, each post is different. Any membership campaign can cover certain fundamentals, okay? Just see the handout on principal leadership, the principles. I'm not going to go through every word of this because it pretty much is reiterating what was in there. It just depends. Look at your dynamics. Look at your demographics of your post. Have you had a influx of younger generation members in the past year? Have you heard new ideas coming in? Is it the same stale? You know, has your post been grown? Now, I happen to be in a post. I'm very fortunate that we've actually outgrown ourselves 10 years in a row. We didn't even realize that except by accident. A lot of posts have hit their 5-year highs and all that. Congratulations to you. Because it shows that there's something happening to make them want to stay. Of course, that'll be addressed in the membership part of retention, because retention is the number one thing we got to worry about. Build numbers all day, but what are you going to do to keep them, right? Having said that, you just look at different things. Use your own imagination. Don't be afraid to think outside that box. Second, third, and fourth vice as needed. Some posts can barely keep a second vice busy. Some posts have third, fourth, and I know some posts that have a couple third vices because they're so big. It just depends. A third vice could be good for your entertainment coordinator. A second vice handle your canteen. It just depends. As needed by the post. Again, see your your handouts, principles of leadership. But the responsibility, as I was just saying, include, but they're not limited to. You take charge of your post activities, build your ground maintenance. You create stuff for them if you need to create that position. That shows your post is growing if you have to create that position. Provide programs, spice up your meetings to attract attendance. Keep the social calendar filled several months in advance. Some posts just use a Ways and Means Committee comprised of all the entities of the family, and just is chaired by your third vice commander or second vice commander, and he brings that information and calendar stuff to the E-board. Just depends. As needed by the post. Make sure you put in your constitution and bylaws the structures and duties of that office. Finance officer. Obviously, your finance officer should be of proven integrity. All right. He's dependent on, your post is dependent on finance because that's how you pay your bills. You know, if you have your post home, whatever, you need finance, your per capita, whatever. There's always financials you got to deal with, even if that's all you do is bring in your per capita off membership. Money's money. You serve as a chair of the finance committee if your post has a finance committee. Not all posts do. Okay, you disperse all of your post funds. It's plain working for you today. Therefore, should be familiar with the various forms. Now, most of these posts, they use QuickBooks, all that. National does have some stuff through minimum sales. You can buy a set of hard copy books, fill in the blank yourself to help run your post. Ledger books is pretty much all it is. Anybody can do it with a ledger book. It's preferred, again, embrace technology. Embrace technology. Everything's going computerized now. Get into your QuickBooks or Quicken, or there's programs out there that can make it very, very, very simple. And usually your district commander, adjutant, district adjutant, somebody in your district on the district staff could be able to help you with that. Now we'll go back to this real quick. There you go. On the finance officer, every post is required to make a report to the membership at least once a month. Now look at what that is included but not limited to. We already did this slide once. Okay? Total income, cost of sale, expenses, accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, profit and loss, anything have to do with any hall rentals or facility purchases and rentals, anything having to do with the money needs to be shared with the membership. Again, so the membership can make decisions on all that. It is the members' money. Then we get into judge advocate. Judge advocate. You don't necessarily have to be a lawyer to be a judge advocate. Most posts don't have a lawyer on staff, obviously. It's an appointed position. If you have a good judge advocate, it's kind of like the adjutant, keep them around for a while. Even though you always should have somebody under your wing training them, whether it be an assistant judge advocate or whatever, who can sit in the meetings or whatever to learn. You don't have to be a lawyer, but you should be able to advise the commander, advise the E-board, advise your committees on a lot of the legalities. You keep the Constitution and bylaws as right in your hand all the time, download it in your phone, whatever. Always have access to that. You interpret that stuff. Again, advise the commander, advise your committees, advise your membership, make sure you're not really stepping on your left toe. Your district commander, your district's a separate unit, or your posts are a separate unit of the district. We all know that. Okay, really, this is really preaching to the choir up in this area. Your post is a separate, distinct unit, functions independently, but the work is more effective when it's a tight link. It goes in that word amalgamation here pretty soon, but that just means unifying and strengthening. Your district officers and your district commander provide the link between department and the post. They're there to help. They're not there to come in there, you know, and bust your chops. They're not there to use that white that's on their hat. They're there to assist. They're there to guide you in the right direction to make sure that we're all conforming to certain things that we're required to do to run a proper post and protect our membership. Posts go out and carry out the objectives and programs of the Legion and comply with the obligations. Right? But if your post gets stale, becomes inactive, you start having issues, internal or external, contact your district commander. They'll know what to do. Of course, we know this up here, up in this area, that the district commander should be visiting your posts at least twice a year, not counting installations. Right, and more if requested, or more if necessary. Some posts need more attention than others. Bottom line. You have received a visit from your district commander, reach out with a personal invitation. And we'll stop right there for a second. A lot of people don't want a white hat in their post. They get paranoid when they see white on top of the hat. They think, "Oh boy, here we go. They're here to bust our chops." You don't necessarily have to be wearing your hat when you go in, but they need to reach out to you. It's important. We have to get over the stigma that the white hats are there to cause trouble. They have to understand, and we have to make sure that they understand, that we're all equal. No matter how much white or red is on your hat, it's more responsibility. That's all it is. It's a symbol of responsibility, but we are all liaisons for somebody. District is a liaison for the post, and area is a liaison for the district. Right? And department, so forth and so forth. We are liaisons. You guys are what makes things tick. It don't start at the top and work down. Without you guys, there would be no reason for those at the top. I just have to say that. Post visitation reports. Very, very, very important. Very important. I've heard examples and stories that had a visitation report not been filled out, a lot of bad things could have happened with the department. There are situations that with lawsuits and stuff, the last visitation report was several years prior. They had that visitation report not been done. Could have been a horrible lawsuit, could have hurt membership, could have hurt the members of a particular post, department, everything else. Very important to get that done. That's where you're going to go check to make sure that post has American Legion on their insurance. We're going to make sure their liquor licenses and their tax forms, all this stuff is done. It's all on the form, we fill it out, we make sure we turn it in the department. Now, once you do that, do you have to do it later in the year? I'll leave that up to you, but you got to at least do it. We need to get it done as soon as possible when you get out and visit these posts and get these reports for each post turned in. So the department's got that on the database, at least once. I'd like to see 100% in that this year, when you get all these visitation reports turned in. And just remember, don't drop it to the post and let the post fill it out and go back and pick it up. Because your name's got to go on it. And if something's messed up and you probably put your name on something that you didn't check, just remember, there are laws. I'll leave that right there where it lays. Duties of the district commander. This is in the bylaws, Article 5, Section 5. Representative, I've already said this, representative of the department commanders in all matter referred to the district, and it shall be the duty at all times to cooperate with the officers of the post in her district. Again, we cooperate with the post. We don't run the post. We're not in charge of the post. We are liaisons. Include, they visit each post at least twice a year. You lend your best efforts to stimulate growth. Talk about that. A lot of this is reiterated. Investigate all new application of post charters and recommend the granting or refusal. I like to see new post charters. That's a good thing, you know. And you do the recommendations to the department executive committee for the grant or refusal of charters. Encourage, there's that word, amalgamation of weak posts into strong posts. That's unify, strengthening. Promote inter-post activities. That means take your district and get the posts working together as a family among each other. Inter-post activities. And a spirit of cooperation among the posts in his or her districts. Their districts. This manual needs a lot of language change. Need to put a lot there because there's a lot of E in there. For development of principles of the Legion, install the post officers. Now, here's the thing about installation. You've got these posts out there that say, well, you don't got to come and install as district commander. We always have this guy do it. He's a past this or that or the other, and he always does it. Well, here's the thing. The district commander is responsible for the installations. District commander needs to give the blessing if you're going to have somebody else install besides the district commander. He can delegate. Most times, I mean, not to cause a problem, most times it's all right. The district commander's got to give his blessing if there's going to be somebody besides the district commander doing the installation. I didn't write the book. But that was in duties of district. That's part of Article 5, Section 6. In addition to serving on the Department Executive Committee, your vice commanders will assist the district commander. We've already talked about that. District commander can delegate to the vice commanders. Some districts actually, the district commander will split his district in half and say, okay, I'm going to assign you these posts, I'm going to assign you these posts, you know, give them things to work, you know, and that's their area of responsibility. Just depends, you know. I thought it was kind of like an outside the box idea, but it seems to be working in some areas. Area commanders serves as official representative of the department in his or her area. Okay, we already said that. Your area usually consists of 2 or more districts. Speaks with the authority of the department, provides supervision of the districts located in the area. They should visit your post at least once a year. Make every attempt to do so. And the duties of the area commander be found in the Department Bylaws, Article 5, Section 4. And you're the personal representative, as an area commander, you're the personal representative of the department commander in your area. I already said that. I already said this. Duty of the area commander at all times cooperate, act as liaison, and regularly communicate with the district commanders in his or her area. We want to continue the work of the American Legion. A lot of this goes without saying, and a lot of it has already been covered. Everything just kind of reiterates itself throughout these chapters. You know how the area commanders are elected? Certain things that they're recommended to do, at a minimum, should attend or perform the following. Obviously, department convention, that's where you get elected at. Fall conference, department oratorical, yes. Finance committee meetings, I said last time, I'd like to get a schedule of when those meetings are. But, you know, executive committee meetings, obviously, department commanders, homecoming, if possible, and your installation of your department was you're already there at convention, and district meetings within your area. Said that. Submit your article for the Legion League. Try to do an area conference, which this could count as one. We're done. And give it to the district manager around town. A lot of this stuff was just reiterated over and over and over.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, it was redundant in a lot of places. We're still tweaking. Thank you.
We needed the glasses, right?
Everybody stand up.
I can't. Oh, boy, I'm turning the place.
All right. Put your left foot in. Take the left foot out. Put your left foot in and shake it all about. 5-minute break.
Hey, go me,
Good job, buddy. Appreciate it.
Keep these guys on. Pause.
You opened up with the mic.
I want you to be wide awake.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He did give
Oh,
Turn it off.
Close to 100? I was just thinking about last week. I got the email. It says 100%. Last week was usually I must have been ready. That was one. Oh, I know. That second one. You know why?
Mints.
Well, yeah, it was a thing.
We have to talk. We have to sit down. We got to sit down and figure out all this stuff.
What's that? Huh? Yes, you can have one. People tend to like with everything I'm doing in the set, I'm referring. I understand. So I made that my priority. Yeah, like I said, I just like before. You don't want to stand there, you saw everything was on there.
So we need to talk about we need to probably wear like I like this idea. Like Hawaiian shirts, right? One day. I told him I wanted to do the thing because I keep this thing for
I already got my costume fixed on that thing. I got it on the other day. Yeah, I was looking for a suit. You don't need to have a suit.
Why not? I always do. I always choose somebody. I found someone to pick on, so.
You need to cut that shit out.
What? Why? It's so much fun. True.
I was going to call you this morning.
I was waiting for you. This is
I
all
was.
this. This is
No, he
like,
told me, he said, oh, she's in the shower.
No, I was sitting there right next to him. No, he says, I'm going to get out of the shower.
Oh,
We were
yeah.
all sitting downstairs, you know.
Oh, I thought he said that you were getting in the shower.
No, he was getting out of the
Well, I'm
shower.
not going to call her. She was getting in the shower.
How would you know? How would you know?
I don't know. Maybe he was in there. I don't know. I didn't ask.
No,
Hey, that was
no,
too
no.
much information. I don't want to know
He
all
was
that.
getting in the shower.
I don't want to know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that was him, not me. No.
Oh, I don't know. I just.
I don't think anybody's noticed it.
Jennifer's like looking at the screen. She goes, send it to me. She does that a lot. And she goes, just send me his things so I can change a couple things before you send it out. I said, no. So I said, I'll do it. That's why I asked you, because I figured you had it.
I do, but I'm not signed into the Wi-Fi, so I have to tell my stuff.
Oh, okay, so I just emailed her mine that I emailed you, so.
But for his, it's on my thing.
Oh, get Wi-Fi. So it'll probably be at the hotel later.
Well, I'm not going to a hotel, but
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're going home, yeah. I can't go home, I'm driving there. That's too far. Way too far. 4 hours down and then 3 hours back up, so I do.
60, 50.
Yeah, that's true. Now, what we can make sure is, you can't go in and check through Spotify and solidify Spotify, that Bruce, yeah. I didn't know if they gave you. Okay. But, not a All right, 2 minutes. And what's the announcement?
Soft drinks for $1.
All right, we do have soft drink, $1. Soft drink, $1. And once again,
Yeah, I'm gonna pick on you, well, no, because mine is about preparation and post analysis and it's about events. So I'm just gonna pick on you and say, oh, by the way, this is in the back table. We call on you and just say, when did you start preparing? Vicky, when did you, I've heard about this something last year when you guys did the first one. So it's just about preparation. But I'm gonna pick on you because it actually looks good to look it on there.
That's one of the biggest problems we have.
moment of silence.
That is one of the biggest problems that we have. Once you know that,
She's been hanging out with grandma.
does she have her computer with her?
Yeah, Jennifer? Yes. Yeah. She might be able to put the stick in and change and download and change them and then send it out. No, you need the stick on top.
Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and get back to the seat. We'll finish up. Back
Oh,
to
wait
your
till
seat.
Hey, Sue.
That don't look like you.
Thank goodness.
I'm the conductor, says I'm the conductor.
That's the Baconator.
That's beautiful. Oh, bacon. I just saw that.
Are you serious? Wow. Wow.
I tell you, transparency, really.
I'm so concerned.
I'm not a little, I'm a lot.
I was so
It's even spelled in bacon.
I was so pointed to my good-looking photo that I never looked up.
I mean, but
Yeah,
it
that's the
goes
first
back
one I seen. I mean,
to my argument.
Don't get sleepy now. You know I'm a monotone speaker.
I was like you though.
It does.
I only focus on your face.
That's right.
I've never saw the bacon.
All right, everybody gets a little water break, a little extra muffin donut. And as we get back to our seats, we'll go to the next subject line item here. And I am going to wander up and down the walkway here. I'm not going to stand up here. So we'll go ahead and turn this off. And I have no slides. All right, so can everybody hear me as I move up and down the aisle? Good. All right, my name's Stuart Scott. I'm your legislative chairman for the Department of Florida. With us here we have Bill Kelly, who's our Sons of the American Legion legislative counterpart. So thank you, Bill. Thank you. Now, it has been noted that I am department level. That means I handle the legislation that goes to Tallahassee, not the legislation that goes up to Washington, D.C. That being said, Paul Martell is your national legislative chairperson. So if you have an idea that you would like to see taken up to D.C., Paul Martell is your contact. Here's the good news. You contact me because I have a link on the website underneath legislation. You can click on that email. You can send it to me. If I determine that it requires a national contact, I send it to Paul Martell, as well as I send it to the correct national person. Okay? I'm not sure how active Paul is at the moment. I know he's handling some other issues, so I have taken upon myself to go ahead and make that contact for him. All that being said, is there any questions about my presentation? That concludes it. No, I'm kidding. All right, I take that little jest because of Jim Ramos, because you got to keep it underneath 5 minutes. Let me ask you a question. Are we a political organization?
No.
Yes. Wow. Let me read you something that is in our mission statement. The American Legion is a nonpartisan, not-for-profit organization. Listen now, listen. With great political influence, perpetrated by its grassroots involvement in the legislative process from local districts all the way to Capitol Hill. Legionnaires' sense of obligation to the community, state, and nation drives an honest advocacy for veterans in Washington, and I add, also in Tallahassee. The Legion stands behind the issues most important to the nation's veterans community, backed by resolutions. Key point there, resolutions passed by you. Your resolutions at the post level move on up. Is that the only way we can write a resolution that was at the post? No. Where else can we write one? Hush, Jim. Where else can we write a resolution? Where? National. But we're talking here in Florida. So you have a post level can write a resolution that they want to see become something. You have your department executive committee. They can write a resolution. You can also have a standing committee write a resolution. So I got a phone call yesterday, and I love I'm a T-Mobile user now. I had to convert from Sprint, and now they have this potential spam call. And I look down, and it's 727 area code, and I'm looking at it. It doesn't say potential spam. I go, okay, better answer this one. Hello, my name is and I have an idea that I want you to write a resolution for. First off, okay. And they start talking about their issue. Now, just as Chris said earlier, active listening allowed me the ability to guide this individual to understand how his great idea to cure PTSD before you exit the military needed to be driven upward. So through that, I had emailed our resolutions chairman, Mike Seidel, as well as our VA&R, Alan Cohen, because that was the avenue it needed to go. So hopefully those three power brains will get together and they'll write a resolution that'll start at post level. They'll adopt it. Then it comes to our resolution, which traditionally is the first time it's heard, is through the Internal Affairs Committee during an annual conference. They determine whether or not it's good to move forward, maybe send back to the author for corrections, or we don't support it at the I level. However, it still comes to the membership to determine, yes, we want to see this thing go through. So any questions? Are we political now?
Yes.
Yes, we're political. We're a very political organization. I just read you the mission statement. It should be unanimous yes. Why is it important for our CPRs to be filled out?
You said it before. Congress.
Tells Congress what we're doing. Now, when I'm in Tallahassee, and I'm standing in a senator's office or a House of Representatives office, and I tell them, for example, this coming up year, our goal is 104,636, something like that. I can say, I represent 104,000 voting constituents in this state. They can touch 10 people, and those people can touch 10 people, and those people can touch 10 people. They start to figure it out in their head. And then they start to realize, when I'm sitting in their office, through a single email stroke, if you subscribe to the mailing list, I can send you information. Let me tell you how awesome sending you information and requesting you guys do something is. Who here received my email push in regards to the PACT Act? Raise your hand. Thank you. If your hand was not raised and you want to know how the person next to you got it, ask them how they got that email. And in that email, you saw that Florida absolutely nailed it compared to the other big five. We had 4,728 contacts contact our U.S. Congress to get this big push for the PACT Act to go through, which was signed into law this past week. When you look at where Florida was, the next largest was Texas at 1,664. We absolutely did our due diligence in sending that information out, so thank you. That is called grassroots initiative, so I thank you for that. I wanted to touch base before we go on any further. When they talked about the color of a hat walking into your post, who here knows that I officiate football? All right. On a football field, we're kind of like a district commander or an area commander. I'm wearing stripes. I don't look like the rest of the team. The neat thing about it is I go to practices of these high schools and colleges. And I'm out there at practice dressed. That way they're not afraid to interact with us. The person grabs them, holding the person during a running play. I throw the flag and I go with their coach itself and say, hey, this is what you did in order to get that flag. You can't put your arms on the outside of them when you're holding. If you put it on the inside, I'm going to kind of ignore it up until certain other actions happen. That's what your district commanders and area commanders and your department commanders, that's what we're here to help you with, is to guide you through all this quagmire of information. How to post during our break, say, hey, I need to get with you in order to help me do A, B, and C. We're going to schedule a meeting. We're going to sit down and go through all of those avenues. Don't be afraid to talk to your district commanders, area commanders, and such. All right. Legislation. How do we get an idea into Tallahassee at the department level? Lena, how do we do that?
We email you.
All right. An idea that comes from the floor comes to me and they go, hey, I got this great idea and I want to see if this can happen. For example, last year, grassroots idea, we're tired of dealing with the three-tier system of purchasing our alcohol at the post. We wanted to have our Title 36 organizations exempt. Who knows what a Title 36 organization is? All right, Title 36 organization is any federally chartered VSO. We have the American Legion, the VFW, AMVETS, Marine Corps League, etc., etc., etc. Those are federally chartered VSOs. They're also known as Title 36 organizations. So when we wrote the bill last year, based upon the idea that came from post level, to bypass this three-tier system, we had someone from the House file the bill and someone from the Senate file the bill. They were identical. Our problem is that the House President and the Senate Speaker, they have to allow it to be calendared. Well, we all know that money talks, and apparently with my largest bill being a single on the outside of my wallet here, the American Legion doesn't have enough money to get this stuff calendared. However, the distributors had enough money to ensure that it didn't get calendared. So the funny thing is then my phone starts ringing, and I have distributors wanting to talk to us, saying, hey, why do you want to be exempt from the three-tier process? I say, funny thing is, I want us to actually create a four-tier process. What do you mean? I want us to be able to go down to the local grocery store, box store, whatever, liquor store, and I want us to be able to buy our liquor for what the sale price is at the store, turn around and bring it into our post, which in essence creates the fourth tier. We're buying it from a retail location. Distributor, you don't have a problem with this because you're going to replenish what we buy to the retailer. Well, I see what you're saying, but we make a lot of money off of y'all. Yeah, I said, I know. And our profit margin is this big. A case of beer, for example, on sale, it's funny because my personal agent, Jen over here, she always cracks up because I'm a Miller Lite drinker, you know, tastes great, less filling. It always says at the grocery store that the actual price is $30 for a case of beer. Insane, I've never paid $30 for a case of beer of Miller Lite. But I can buy it on sale for 20 bucks on Tradition. If you buy that same case of beer from the distributor, right, it's $36. Mm-hmm. All my canteen managers, bob your head like this. Mm-hmm. A keg of beer, that is totally absurd from a distributor. A place in Tallahassee called Mike's Beer Barn, you can get a keg of beer, all right, for $96. You're going to have to pay $160 from the distributor, right? And that, we have to turn around and try to operate our margin on super thin. We know we're not a high production post in Cherry Lake, you know, like 129 is over in Jack's Beach, but we make what we can do. So when I lobbied this, the distributors calling me, telling me no. What actually made it happen was when DBPR, Department of Business Professional Regulations, they called and they said, listen, we don't want this bill messed with, or this statute messed with. If you put a crease in that door and you open it up, everyone's going to pile in. All of our animal fraternities, they're going to want to jump in. So how about this concession? If you're an 11C, which means club, liquor license holder, you can purchase from any legal, keyword, any legal vendor in the state of Florida. Now, being up here in the Columbia County, going all the way over to Tallahassee, there's a lot of backyard stills. Shake your head. We know there is. All right. I mean, I might have somebody that gave me something here recently, and it's very tasty. Okay? But I got to tell you, you cannot bring that into your post. Okay? So if it's made in someone's garage or in their backyard and they don't have a tax certificate on it, you can't bring that into your post. Being this close to Georgia, be cognizant. Do not go into Georgia and buy your alcohol and bring it into your post. Okay? So we have to be very mindful of that. But all that happened from being a political organization looking to drive something that's going to help our VSOs. So, what's 2023's agenda item? I have now been contacted by an organization called VetPAC, Veteran PAC, and they have a lot of money. Good news. I'm also part of the Florida Veteran Council. Also, a lot of influence. The FDVA is part of us on that arm. We have decided to take up gaming this year. So, gaming should send chill bumps up and down your arms when you hear the term gaming, because it's a very scary thing. I had a post commander here in the 3rd District get arrested for gaming. Their post lost over $30,000. Turned around and through pleading out a fine of $1,000, but had to pay it. Get out of the legal trouble. So question, is gaming legal in Florida for posts?
No.
Absolutely not. Take the heat. If you get a letter from now the newly formed Gaming Commission, you need to read it and follow the instructions in it. This Gaming Commission has 5 gaming commissioners, and they have now $22 million in their arsenal to hire investigators / inspectors. Who is the lowest hanging fruit in this room? That's the brick and mortar post. Not the 777s in a strip mall, which I think is the main thing they should be after. It's us. We're not going to move. So when an inspector comes in and they want to check out your machines, and then they leave you a notice to cease and desist, I would highly follow the directive, cease and desist. So what's our goal for this upcoming session? We want to make, once again, Title 36 organizations exempt from the gaming aspects. We want to be able to do it legally in the state of Florida. Through that, this vet pack is doing all the back-end research for us. We're going to be able to show our dollar values that we can raise within our community because we're program-driven. We're one of the spokes where we're going to give this money back to the community. That post commander who got arrested, that post gave all of their money from their gaming machines to the local school. All of it. They built the entire gymnasium at that school out of post funds. Wow. However, undercover agents from DBPR back in the time came in and said, hey, this is illegal gaming, confiscated all of their cash on hand for it, and then turned around and arrested the post commander because even though you're autonomous, who is your CEO of the post? Your post commander. All right? So as post commander, that's something you need to keep in mind. If you're doing illegal things at your post, you're on the hook for it. So if we can get this at least introduced, which we already have a House side, we already have a Senate side sponsor. That's good news for us. Now we're working on the language, and then from there, I can't wait for the phone to start ringing. And the meetings shall happen from that point going forward. So that's yet another idea that comes from grassroots. If you have an idea, get in touch with me. I'll guide you through the process of it. And an idea with a resolution is always easier for me to write. One that got introduced last year, at least two, never got sponsored, it got introduced, they were going to put it in the Highway Safety and Motor Vehicle Appropriations Bill, was to get us all exempt from paying renewals for our driver's licenses. If you've got an honorable discharge, D-Form 214, then you would have to pay your initial fee, but you would never have to renew your driver's license again. Now, the neat thing about that is we had to write caveats into that proposal, and that is, let's say you wind up getting a DUI, you lose your privilege. If you had a vehicular point system and you had too many points in your license because you're a speeder or you like to make left-hand turns on a one-way when it's going to the right, whatever the case may be, there was caveats to have that privilege revoked from you. We're going to try to reintroduce that again this year. Hopefully it'll stick to the wall and go forward. If you have an idea, get in touch with me. I'll figure out where it needs to go. Who here got the weekly updates during session last year? Raise your hand. If your hand's raised and you want to know, get with those individuals to find out how you get that email. That way you see what bills are filed, where our stance is on those bills. Maybe we're for it, Maybe we're neutral, or maybe we're against it. We need to know, as when someone comes into your post, how to handle that. It's an election season now, right?
Yes.
Can you have politicians come to your post and speak?
Yes.
Yes.
I heard more yeses than nos. Those who said no, yes, you can. Let me tell you, post 49, raise your hand. This past Tuesday, what an outstanding town hall they had at their post. They invited every local race to their post, gave them 5 minutes to speak, 5 minutes worth of questions afterwards. They set the room up for about 50. We were yanking chairs out of the archives of that building to seat everyone. And it was a packed house. And there was some great leadership that presented their stump speech of what platform they're running on. What are some of the key elements to host something like that? They cannot put their yard signs out at the post. You have to invite all of the candidates. They all don't have to show up in order to host it, but you have to invite them all. And you give them equal time. The post commander sat up there with his phone. They had 5 minutes. When they began speaking, he hit the timer. All but one went over because they're politicians. And the one that didn't go over, he said, I loved his closing. He says, I've got a lot of ideas, but obviously not a lot of time, so you can reach me later. And I'm like, that dude is a politician right there. But I got to tell you, that was one heck of an event. I know Miss Jessica Moore went to a town hall for a congressional town hall this past Tuesday as well. So these things can happen. So just keep in mind, if you want to host one and you're not specifically sure how to do it, get in touch with me and I will walk you through it. And that way we don't lose, the kicker here is we don't lose our tax exempt status. Our ability to host political things deals with our IRS code. There's nothing in our bylaws other than that we're a nonpartisan organization. It does not teach you how to host them. You have to go to the IRS tax code to see how you can host them. I have it available to email you. I have it to be able to share with you and educate you on that process. We're running into elections. Post 224, they man the actual polling location in their local area. How much money do you get for primary and then general elections to host?
Used to be like $125.
All right, I'll help you. You get $600 per primary and $600 for general. All right, and that's just hosting from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You need a total of 7 poll workers. Not that type of poll worker. You need a minimum of 7 poll workers during the time. They all don't have to be present, but you need to have 7, typically 5's there, and you have 2 people to float in and out to cover lunches. You have to be certified through the supervisor of elections to do so, but I highly encourage, that is some low-hanging money right there, folks. I don't know what post here can't use $1,200 for a bam, all you do is open your doors for to host the machines in there. Post 131 over in Greenville is doing the same thing, and they'll host the primary as well as the general election at their post. All right. Any questions for your legislative chair? Yes, Mr. Keller.
March in Tallahassee.
March, we have not established our March on Tallahassee, but let's talk about that real quick. March on Tallahassee is cloaked as a term. Typically, session back in the day began the first Tuesday of March. So we called it March on Tallahassee. Now every other year, it begins in January. Thanks, Jen. And with that being said, we had March on Tallahassee January 11th this past year, and I get this email saying, what are we marching for? What's something so dire that we have to march on Tallahassee? What are we protesting? And I had to let them know it's just a term that when we go and we handle our business. March on Tallahassee, typically we're going to look at committee weeks, what items are going to be calendared, and we're going to set it up. Please come. Post 13 hosts breakfast in the morning, which is the post in Tallahassee. Be dressed appropriately. You're representing us, the American Legion, make sure you're dressed in at least, I say at least, a Legion polo. I would prefer you be in a suit, jacket and tie, maybe khakis. That's the minimum. Bring your headgear. I want to see you in your cover. The VSOs are the only ones allowed to wear their hats in hearings, on the Senate floor, in the House. We're the only ones allowed to wear it. And let me tell you how important it is wearing that cover. 2 years ago when we had special session and they were getting ready to have it where bingo could be done by any organization, my counterpart at the VFW, he and I are there, the only 2 VSOs, and we had our hats on. We chose not to testify, but we'd rather our presence speak loud. So when the bill got introduced, he and I stood up, and we just stood at our seats. And as they were bringing up the lady that was reading the bill, she starts reading it. This bill is to establish bingo as any organization. She whispers over and I'm like, these guys are staring at me. So she reads through it, and so then the chair of that committee says, I see we have our VSOs in the House. And we both shook our heads. No statement, just shook our heads. And they're for this bill? We shook our head, no. They're against this bill? We shook our head, yes. He goes, I make a motion to table this. No further testimony necessary. We testify just by being present. So wearing your headgear when you're in there, one, looking professional, because we want to look like our counterparts that we're trying to lobby. We have a lobbyist for the state of Florida. His name's Bill Helmick. He is a Marine. He's been lobbying now for almost 25 years. He has his own consulting business in Tallahassee, and he's very in tune with Tallahassee. He can get me into anyone's office upon request. So, I got to tell you, we are pretty strong. Yes, Mr. DeSantis. Not Ron, but...
During the COVID, I was shopping with hospice. When I went to visit patients at the VA, as a hospice chaplain, I was denied access. When I put on my uniform, the American Legion, it opens all doors. And I was able to go in, comfort some of those guys up on the Serenity Place, and do what I need to do as a chaplain. That uniform is important. I wear it all the time at every meeting because I honor you veterans. I'm an SAO member. I count this hall sacred ground. I do this for respect for you all. But I love the uniform. I'm proud to be a member. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Any other questions or comments in regard to legislation? Mr. Roberts.
One hot topic that
Stand up.
one hot topic that's more than likely going to come up for us to potentially deal with is constitutional carry. Great concern in our country right now with all the illegals coming in. Me being retired law enforcement, it's not just protecting me, it's protecting other innocent people and families, friends, and neighbors. So Governor DeSantis has stated that he will sign it. We just have to get it to him. So that's something that's going to be coming up as well.
So when it comes to constitutional carry, we have one person that's been filing that bill for the past 4 years, and he's not running for re-election because he's running for Congress now. And that's Anthony Sabatini out of Lake County. He's not going to be there, so I don't know who's going to write and try to support that initiative. However, do understand, if a post writes a resolution, sends it on up to the department, maybe the department gets behind it and the department says, hey, we want constitutional carry. That's how easy it can happen. So keep that in mind. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing no other, I yield the floor now to your first Vice Commander, Mr. Michael Raymond.
You know, when you look at this picture, doesn't it make you kind of go, "Aw"?
Makes you want to take the darts out.
Bill, take him outside. Okay, before we get started, I'd like to recognize our past department commanders. Mr. Jerry Brandt, Mr. Jim Ramos, Mr. George Worley. I'd also like to recognize past Captain Commander Steve Gordon, Mr. Bill Kelly back there. Before I begin, go away. Before I begin, something kind of woke me up this morning. As we were driving in, you be quiet. As we were driving in to the bacon breakfast this morning, we were coming down 90, we were making a right turn by Walmart. And there's a big old sign right on the corner. If you live here, you've seen it a million times. And it said, Lawyer Craps. C-R-A-P-P-S. Craps. Or crap, whatever it is. So I looked at it and I turned to Eunice and I said, or our commander, and I said, you know, if that was my name, I'd have to change it. And I looked at her and she said, that's my cousin. I said, I'm sorry. I got her permission to say that, by the way. I'm going to talk about something for about 10 minutes. I'm not going to hold you up that long. I want to talk about something that we really don't want to talk about, do we? We don't want to talk about losses in our post. Even though, how many people in this room heard about post or nonprofits losing money to theft?
Jim Ramos every day.
How many have lost money in your own post? Raise your hand. How many of you have stolen money from your post? There's only one reason for money being lost in your post. One reason. And that is opportunity. If you give them the opportunity, they will take that opportunity. Trust me, I was in loss prevention for a long time. I would work for the BX. I don't care if you're a private or a colonel. If you have opportunity, you will take that opportunity. Everybody who's been in the military knows about the three types of losses, right? They're fraud, waste, and abuse. We hear that all the time. In fact, some of us maybe in this room got paid big bucks for coming up with a reason why or something that you wouldn't, that would save the government money. The two types of losses in nonprofits are, number one, skimming. That's when you're talking about cash. That's when you're talking about 50-50s. That's when you're talking about money that you raise that has no background to it. You don't know what's missing if you don't know you have it. The second one is embezzlement. And we've had a lot of those over the years here in Florida, where money's been embezzled out of a post. And that's money that you already know you have. $20,000 out of a safe. We don't know what happened to it. It just disappeared. You gave somebody the opportunity to make that money disappear. How many people have multiple people on there that have the combinations of their safes? How many people have multiple keys to the building? That's opportunity. We had a post in South Florida. He went into the post in the middle of the night, opened the safe, cleaned it out, $35,000. Took it and left. On video. He was found innocent. Not enough evidence. You know why? Because the camera was on his back, and it didn't see him take the money. But he was in the post at 3 in the morning. The money was missing that night. The law enforcement they didn't have enough evidence. Opportunity. Nonprofits lose more than 5% of their gross receipts every year. Over 5%. You got a post that's doing $1 million, do the math. We need an Air Force person. You can do the math. 5%. That's a lot of money to lose. Here's why people steal. Money is thought to be owed to them for their services. You owe me. I work bingo, so I'm going to take 10 bucks out of here so I can go buy some drinks. Members upset with the organization and gets even. I'm getting even with my post because they treated me really bad. And then you have unintentional theft. Somebody walks up to Chris and hands him a $50 donation for vet relief. He puts it in his pocket. Then he goes home and he empties all his pockets and a $50 bill falls on his desk. Ah, shit, I forgot to turn that in. You turned it in though, right? The next day? Yeah, of course you did. The majority of funds that are stolen by, and I hate to say this, your post officers and your employees. Your employees, think about it. Who's your employees? Your bartenders. Everybody has a canteen.
Michael, speak up. Got people way in the back.
Canteen
I'm
manager.
sorry?
Speak up.
Oh, you can't hear me back? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You got your hearing aid turned up? Awesome. You're the only one who can't hear me, Jerry. We had a bartender at our post. I'm going to say it was our post because I caught the girl. Steve remembers that. Every time she stole a drink, she would throw a straw down in the sink. And then at the end of the night, she would count them up, and that's how much money she'd take out of the register. And the only reason we caught her was there was like 60 straws stuck in the drain. When we called the plumber. So, here's two things you can do to stop the opportunity. Number one, you vet your employees. You vet them. How do you vet them? You call the last person that they work for and ask them one question. Would you hire them back? And if they say no, woo, stay away. We have a problem down in South Florida. It's called, we hire all the bartenders that are on the circuit. We got 30 VSOs down there. And all these bartenders go from one to the other, and nobody makes a phone call. Why did you leave? You got some people that will call you and they'll say, hey, don't hire that person. They just stole us blind. Make sure you bond every official, what they call officials. They say in your bylaws, officials. Bond everybody that handles money in your post. Okay, make sure your insurance company covers these people. Your bar manager got to be covered. If you have a civilian bar manager, you want them covered. Normally, insurance covers your officers. Okay, but make sure you check with your insurance company that you're a bar manager and you're going to be covered for any money stolen from your canteen.
Question.
Go ahead.
Fundraisers.
Fundraisers. Go ahead.
Your volunteers that are collecting funds for you.
Yep.
Do they have to be bonded as well?
No. You're going to fix that right here in the next sentence. Okay? How do you stop opportunity? In the Air Force, they called it, under nuclear protection, they called it a two-man concept. Never collect money. Never allow one person to handle money. Always two. You're doing a 50-50. One holds the tickets, the other holds the money. When you're done, take it up to the bartender and make them sign for the money that you've just counted with them. Then that goes to the finance office. Guess what? No opportunity. And if there was opportunity, guess what? You know who took it. Two-person concept when you do any kind of cash money. Make sure that all your funds are turned into a single point. You got money transferred here, 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 here. Guess what? Some of it's going to fall off the wagon on the way. Make sure it's your bartender or your finance officer are the 2 points that you should turn money into. When turning over cash, always count it in the presence of another person. And then you put a note on it and initial it. Never, under any circumstances, remove funds from your post unless it's going to the bank. A lot of the money that's missing somehow disappears on the way. Okay? We had a young lady at our post. We had a big steak dinner, $3,000. So next morning, I don't see $3,000 in the finance office. And I asked, where's the money? Well, I took it. It's in my house. I have to pay the steak guy. No, you don't pay the steak guy. I pay the steak guy. I want that money in this post right now. Don't let it leave the post. Here's one that I get a lot of questions on, but it's very, very simple if you do the math. If you have a debit card, get rid of it. Debit card
is bad for your post. Number one, when somebody uses it, and I'll tell you why, I'm going to give you a good example. When somebody uses it, your money comes right out. And it's a hell of a time trying to get the money back. If you have a credit card, you're covered. Okay? So get rid of your debit card, use a credit card. We had a post near here, well, down south. They're all down south. All them dishonest posts down south. What happened was we had a guy that was a finance officer at a post. Then they caught him stealing money. So they got rid of him. So what's he do? He moves to Minnesota, Wisconsin, one of those cold states. So he goes up there, and all of a sudden they get a bill for a Harley Davidson.
Good choice.
This guy took the number, didn't even take the card. Took the number off the card, went up to a bike shop up in Wisconsin and bought a Harley with that number. The company called the bank. Is there money there? Yes. Give him the bike. $9,000.
Yeah, Sportster.
Debit cards. Get rid of your debit cards.
I'm gonna let him buy it too.
I will close with one very important thing, and I'm sure you've heard it before. The most important part of loss prevention. If you have a lack of opportunity, there will be a lack of losses. Okay? Let's talk about something really exciting. Let's talk about programs. Woo! Programs. What did Chris say earlier about programs? You must do one.
They're the spokes of the wagon wheel.
To be in the spokes of the wagon. We're right. They're in the
That was
spokes
a
of the
good
wagon.
analogy.
Well, let me tell you something. How many people got a Funkin' Wagnalls at home?
Oh, here we go. You're using the F word.
Well done.
Didn't you listen to his class, Embrace Technology?
Hold on, we're getting to that.
I'm still back. I'm still downtown. All right, and your Funkin' Wagnalls definition of a program, it's very simple. And the best one I could get was a plan of action to accomplish a specified goal or end. Think about that. A specified goal or end. When we do a program, we want a specified goal, right? So that's what we're going to look at as far as programs are concerned. National lists 27 programs that they approve of in their whatever, okay? Department of Florida lists 19. That doesn't mean those are the only ones that you can use. All programs are based on the 4 pillars. What smart person wants to tell me what the 4 pillars are? Somebody here knows them, right? George? How about we go? Hang on. Go ahead, Jim. Give it to us. And then we need to stop right after.
Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, National Security, Americanism, and Children and Youth.
Exactly. What's the most important one?
All of them.
All of them.
They're all important. Without them, the front of the department headquarters would fall down. Without the 4 pillars, the department headquarters would fall down.
Yes,
There's 4 pillars holding up the front of the department headquarters. Has anybody been to the department headquarters?
I have a picture.
Is everybody sleeping? I thought I woke you guys up with loss prevention. All right. Anyway, those are, what was the first program of the American Legion?
Boy Scouts.
Hey, the front row.
Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts.
Lena.
Programs are a direct link. And what brings, how can you be a really good post in your community? By being involved in the community, right? Programs are a direct link to be involved in your community. When you sponsor a Boy Scout troop, what are you bringing in? You're bringing in people, the kids, then you're bringing in people, and you're bringing in young people that will join your post when they see all the wonderful things you guys do. It's as simple as giving a flag demonstration at your local grade school. About 2 months ago, Larry Roberts called me up and he said, Gambler, I need you to come down with me and we're going to do a flag demonstration for 2 second graders, 2-year-olds, that would be a good second graders at this grammar school. And they had 4 second grade classes. so we did 4. I was blown away by the patriotism of those second graders and their teachers. Blown away. The teachers even folded the flags for us and everything, and the kids all had, and they said the Pledge of Allegiance. It was so awesome. One of the things that bothers me the most is, though, when you go by a school nowadays, you're lucky to see a flag flying out in front of the school. So that's what I want all you guys to do. If you see a school without a flag or a tattered flag, I want you to call that principal and say, my post will come down and put a brand new flag up there. And by the way, can we give a little demonstration to your kids? They won't say no. I guarantee it. They won't say no. When you have a spaghetti dinner to benefit vet relief and veteran and suicide, that's a program. That's what we're all about. Anything you do that is somehow associated with the 4 pillars can be a program. Every department has the authority to come up with their own programs. What's our program that nobody else has?
Vet
relief, right? It's a pretty successful program, isn't it?
Okay.
Jim,
Yes.
how much did the riders? How much did the riders raise last year for Project Vet Relief? How much?
217,000.
How much?
217,000.
217,000. We have a program raising money for a program. Can you believe that? That's like magic, right?
You're right, sir. You're right.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to start getting on a roll about Legion Riders. Everybody knows how I feel about Legion Riders, so we're going to leave that alone. I'm going to mention some of the programs that Department of Florida does recognize really fast. Write these down. Baseball.
Because you're going to do it fast.
Baseball blood donor, boys stay. You can look them up. Children, youth, employer awards, homeless veteran outreach. JROTC, junior shooting sports. Law and order. See, I just woke him up. Legion Riders, oratorical. Oh, by the way, I'd like to thank Jim for coming today. He's our chairman for the Legion Riders, state of Florida.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oratorical, we got to get back into that, guys. Slipping. Every post should have a candidate. POWMIA, Project Vet Relief, which is one of our commander's projects this year. School medal, scouting, Special Olympics, women's advocacy.
Yes.
Youth Law Cadet. We're going to put a lot more emphasis in Youth Law Cadet. That is one outstanding program that we really need to get back into. And I've talked to our commander, and we got a new chairman. Toby?
We're working on it.
We're working on getting a chairman, and we're going to get it done. Every program listed as a department chairman who can be contacted for more info. Is that for me?
No, that's not vacant.
Every post should have a chairman appointed for the various programs that you'd like to support. You don't have to support them all. Believe it or not, some posts do. It's amazing. If you're interested in department appointment as a chairman, please fill out a request form on the department website. Always looking for good people. And I'm going to finish with something that's really, really close to my heart. I've been involved with the Honor Guard at my post for 13 years. I spoke about the programs that we want to support. Honor Guard, it is not a difficult program to accomplish. It takes 3 people. 4 is even better. Except maybe for the Air Force. Now, you may have to do some special drill training. We don't know how to do that stuff. I believe every veteran should receive a military funeral upon their death. Does everybody agree with me?
Amen.
Every
Amen.
veteran.
Absolutely.
That's where we come in. We as veteran service organizations are expected to provide these honors, especially when a military honor guard is not available. There's a post. There's a post up in Perry. Everybody knows about Jim Day's post. They don't have an honor guard because they don't have many people. But there was a funeral up in Perry, and it was a Purple Heart, Bronze Star. What is that Army guy? Major, Sergeant?
Sergeant Major.
What is that?
Sergeant Major.
Sergeant Major, yeah, that's one of them. A lot of stripes, looks like a zebra. We passed away. It was actually a friend of mine's uncle. And she called me. And she said, Gambler, I know you have an honor guard. Now we're talking about Perry. I'm down in Port Charlotte. She says, we need an honor guard, at least a couple guys up here, to do this funeral for my uncle. He deserves it. And I said, you bet your ass he deserves it. I called 5 posts in the area of Perry. And either they did not have an honor guard, they did not go out of the county, or they just couldn't do it. Until I got to Crystal River. I called Jerry at Crystal River and I said, listen, this is my issue. And he said, well, up in Perry, I explained the situation. He said, we'd be glad to do it. We're doing a memorial that day, but we will split it in half. We'll send our guys up to Perry, and then we will do Dunedin, Kirk Miller's funeral. And that, I mean, I'm getting chilled just thinking about it today, that they were willing to do that. So, do you realize that more than half the honor guard are sons? And they do the job. Beginning, let's see, beginning on page 37 of your officer's manual, you'll see everything you need to start an honor guard or to run a funeral. So make sure you download the manual very easily. That's all I have. Thank you for your time. Yes, sir.
Respectfully, when you're going over programs that we represent, is that what we recognize at convention, the USA the Sea Cadets?
The Sea Cadets, well, that's, I don't even know how to spell Navy. Thank you for that, really. We have Sea Cadets up here. Is that a Florida?
We just passed it this year.
Just passed it this year. Cool. Yes, sir.
Resolution.
Go ahead, Jim.
Resolution. Write it up.
You write up a resolution and submit it to the department, and it's pretty simple to do. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Mr. Kelly, oh boy, I'm in trouble.
Jim, no offense about the riders, but the Sons of the American Legion this year raised over $1,400,000.
Are they a program?
The largest membership program in the world.
Wow. Okay, since I've been seriously spanked by NEC of the Sons of the American Legion, Department of Florida, I give up the floor to somebody very special.
Your commander.
Somebody's very special. Miss Eunice Butts, the commander of the state of Florida.
Turn the mic on. It ain't on.
Oh, you definitely do not speak.
Listen up.
At least we can have some fun
Amen. Amen.
while we train. Shortly, lunch will be ready before the next presenter can finish her presentation. So, relax. We don't have too much to do, so it's about 5, so take your break. Cigarette smokers, go do your thing.
Love you.
About 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
You press my
No, we're going to eat first and then she's going to talk. You might want to turn it off.